What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about SoFi, I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did get hit rather hard. It closed 3.83% in the red. 15.06 the low, $16.10 the high. Couple different attributing factors that caused this crazy pullback right here. One is just Palantir. So Palantir did sell off. I think it took down a lot of tech stocks, so SoFi falls under the category. But more specifically, what affected SoFi and much of the greater market was this right here. So this is the FOMC minutes. It did come out yesterday and it did bring up a lot of concerns. One is just the tariffs and how that's going to result in higher inflation. But yesterday, all this news was available yesterday. I feel like the market just said, hey, thanks for the FYI, I appreciate it, and that's it. But with Walmart unveiling their earnings this morning, they did state many of the same concerns, and they gave a very stern warning about the future state of the economy, obviously encumbering these tariffs and what that means for inflation and just the consumer's buying power. All of that is going to get dramatically affected. I think a lot of people generally knew this, but all the market needed was having Walmart state that, and then the FOMC minutes yesterday, and then you pile that together and then the market panics. So that's ultimately what did cause this. So give yourself a shout out if you did buy the dip, because it did recover fairly well, but at the same time, I think SoFi kind of lags a little bit. And what I mean by that is they actually did put out news this morning, and that was this right here. So Galileo Financial Technologies enables brands to offer co-brand debit rewards cards. So I think in general, this is good. It helps SoFi with the B2B and as well just kind of for SoFi and Galileo's reach across the market. But this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that this news is just okay. It's not a good reason to go out and buy SoFi nor sell. And I think at the same time, this is a little bit more of a negative to SoFi, is that they're not really innovating. And you have a lot of other companies such as Robinhood, they're thinking outside the box. SoFi, for the most part, they're doing a lot of things, but they're still sticking in their box. Even though the box is huge and they can make a lot of money within their box, but to be truly innovative, like they're not really doing what needs to be done, at least coming from an investor standpoint. And I think this is why even today, they did lag. Even though every stock did go down, they just were hit a little bit more. So again, that's just my general viewpoint on that. Moving over to shorts, they did increase 84,000 shares today. So not all that much, and that's been the case for a while now. They just haven't been doing anything. I'm not really sure why. Maybe they're waiting on larger data for whatever reason, but 11.84% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 127.46 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow minimum, once again, you see as negative, so meaning a broker out there still paying people to short SoFi. Kind of stupid stuff, but it is what it is. 25 million in calls, 9.39 in puts. 47% of all the options being done today were bearish in nature, but you did see a fairly good amount of options. So 34 million in total premiums, 18 yesterday, 46 the day prior. And put/call ratio is starting to increase. So again, that's not necessarily what you'd ideally like to see, but nonetheless, you are still seeing a good amount of volume. Of the call options that are being purchased, you see consensus for it to be roughly around that $17 range. So the optimism is going down a little bit. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 14.50. And I'm going to talk on technicals and stuff like that and why both make somewhat sense. But aside from that, these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market. So you had a little bit of buying, a small amount, and then you had this string of selling. So this is ultimately what did bring down SoFi. And then aside from that though, then you had the kind of this string of buying right here. So this is what called the bottom for the most part. Then these are all the after hours transactions. Couple big ones to take note of. 7.7, 1.2, 4.4. So again, some pretty good transactions. These are all the transactions that did occur on the dark pool. dark pool was a little bit more active today than normal. And so again, this is largely attributed to shorts and other large entities and whatever. So there was roughly around 400 different transactions above $100,000 just today alone. Some big ones as well, so 2.8, 4.3, 1.03, but majority of them were below 1 million in transaction or dollar value. So let me know your viewpoint on that. And then with it closing at 1556, it is below this pivot point right now. So 1409 is going to be the next strong support. $15.93 is going to be that next strong target / resistance point. And on the actual chart, on a side note, no new analyst ratings or anything like that, but SoFi's technicals were looking fairly good. I didn't really anticipate it to get hit this hard this fast. So as of right now, it is below that 50-day moving average, and that's currently at $15.73. So tomorrow definitely needs to get above that, close above that if you're going to see any sort of recovery whatsoever. As well, $14.49 is that super trend. So if it does break below that, then you'll have algorithmic trading really working against SoFi, similar to what happened here. It's trying to fight upstream, so it's very difficult for it to essentially move higher. But so as far as tomorrow, just watch for that. Stochastic RSI, you have it rather overbought, so with today's pullback, that should reset it slightly, but still something to keep in mind, the fact that if it is given the status quo, if there's negative data that comes out tomorrow, or even specific to SoFi, you could see some more negative pullback associated to that. Side note, the only thing that's coming out tomorrow that is of value is existing home sales. Forecast right now is 4.16. Similar to what happened on Wednesday, a lot of the home data came in much better than anticipated, so it is fair to assume that that is going to be similar nature, fairly good. And one thing I do want to bring up is, with tomorrow being Friday, this is the open interest. So just take note of this, because sometimes we see some manipulation in regards to that. So you have 17,000 at that 15, 10,000 at that 1550, 19,000 at that 16, and then 13,000 at 1650. So once again, you might see shorts a little bit more active. So if it does get close to one of these strike prices during, let's say, power hour, you might see some kind of manipulation. But yeah, this is another fun day of being a SoFi investor. Let me know your thoughts on that. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon where I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.